Welcome to our off-off Flatbush revival of the Battle of Brooklyn, a farce of two acts. My name is Dylan Yeats, and I want to thank everyone at Freddy's, my incredible all-volunteer cast, and you, the audience, for making my dreams come true. I'm going to briefly introduce what you're about to see, giving you one more chance to make sure your cell phones are silent. After Congress issued the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July, 1776, the British sent 300 warships to New York Harbor to take their colony back. At first, it wasn't clear whether they would invade Brooklyn, Manhattan, or New Jersey, but on August 22nd, they landed at Coney Island as most of the locals fled town. Washington dispatched two of his old friends to stop the British advance. William Alexander, the Earl of Stirling, then residing in New Jersey, led 1,500 troops to defend the Gowanus Road, which is roughly today's 3rd Avenue. John Sullivan, a lawyer turned congressman from New Hampshire, led a similar number to defend Flatbush Ave, while 9,000 of Washington's other soldiers remained behind a string of forts defending downtown Brooklyn. At 1 a.m. on August 27th, the Americans found British troops in Simon Bergen's watermelon patch on 36th Street and Gowanus Road, and the shooting began. By dawn, Stirling and his men were having a hard time keeping the 5,000 British regulars under General James Grant at bay, so they decided to pull back to Wynant Bennett's apple orchard at 23rd Street to set a trap. Some of Stirling's men positioned themselves atop what we now call Battle Hill in Greenwood Cemetery, while others hid across the Gowanus Road at Block Hill, or Blokie Berg in Dutch, on the edge of a swamp. By 7 a.m. they had stopped the British advance and had killed at least 50 redcoats. But unbeknownst to Stirling, this was all just a distraction. Overnight, British General William Howe quietly led 10,000 additional troops that the Americans didn't even know existed along King's Highway up to the outskirts of Bushwick, and then back towards downtown on Jamaica Turnpike, which we now call Atlantic Ave. At 9 a.m., these troops surprised Sullivan at Flatbush Pass from behind, and he surrendered right away. Washington watched in horror from behind the American lines in Brooklyn Heights. He had not anticipated such a large British force, and knew he couldn't risk sending any reinforcements to Stirling on 23rd Street. Outmaneuvered and outnumbered, Stirling personally led nearly 400 troops from Maryland to charge Howe's men in order to buy the rest of the Americans time to swim across the Gowanus Creek to safety. At Nicholas and Abigail Vecta's Old Stone House, 250 of these men sacrificed their lives so that 1,000 others could escape. The British refused to bury American casualties after the battle, and their bodies were picked apart by birds. But Brooklynites secretly removed the Maryland martyrs to a slave cemetery on the bank of the Gowanus one by one, which is now under the American Legion post at 9th Street and 3rd Avenue. Stirling himself surrendered and was put on a prison ship, where he and Sullivan actually dined with the British generals nightly. Since Howe didn't know how many American troops were left in downtown Brooklyn, he decided to regroup a bit before attacking the lines. To take advantage of this delay, and concerned that independence might be lost right then and there, Washington ordered his men to light hundreds of unmanned campfires across all his forts, so the British wouldn't notice the 6,500 remaining American troops quietly slipping across the East River that night. Many were ashamed at the American performance in Brooklyn, but the Continental Army lived to fight another day, and finally pushed the British out of New York 5 years later. Stirling and Sullivan only spent 1 week on the prison ship before Howe exchanged them for captured British officers. While very little is known about the play you're about to see, theater historian Norman Philbrick claims that it must have been written before Stirling and Sullivan were released, for how could a playwright making fun of the American Revolution not have passed up mocking them for that? As for who the playwright was, in the 1880s, Brooklyn writer Gabriel Harrison claimed that British General John Bourguignon wrote it in the fall of 1776 to be performed at King's Head Tavern, the British officers' club in Brooklyn Heights, during the occupation. But while Bourguignon was a British general who did write plays, and did serve in New York, he never claimed authorship of this play, and he was actually in England between April 1776 and May 1777, so the timing doesn't work. I think the playwright must have been a local loyalist, because the references are so specific, and because the character that I will play, Joe King, who is a local loyalist, seems to embody the author's perspective. When I stumbled upon this play a few months ago, I couldn't believe it wasn't better known. But then I read it. It was almost unintelligible. And to convince you of that, I've printed out facsimiles that are out on the tables that you can flip through. So I decided to cut out everything confusing and that wasn't essential to the plot, such as it is. And now I think it's pretty funny. I also added a narrator for clarity, but I did not add any actual lines. It is an honor to perform this play in a bar that actually sits on genuine battleground, on or near the anniversary. But in the interest of historical accuracy, we have all decided not to completely memorize our lines. So we will be using scripts. So now, without further ado, please enjoy the Battle of Brooklyn, a farce of 2 acts. Here we find Lord Sterling and his local attendant Joe King at an apartment in Brooklyn Heights. Washington had befriended Sterling during the French-Indian War and made him a general as soon as the Revolution began.
Joe! Honest Joe! Oh, where can that damn king be?
Why, here, my lord. Devil damn me, sir. Pray, who do you damn so?
Oh, my dear Joe, the cares that distracted split this poor head of mine.
Split? Yes, by heaven. Drank enough last night to split the head of an Indian.
Insolence! Know me for your master, your lord.
I must hold a candle to this devil. My lord, I ask your pardon. I meant no harm. You know I'm given to joking, and you formerly encouraged me in it.
Forgive me, honest Joe. Oh, God. The public cares so hang upon me that they quite destroy my constitutional good humor. The British regulars are near to us, and every moment we expect them over the hill.
But your lordship has so long and so uniformly wished to meet them that I thought the nearer the prospect, the better you would have been pleased. You will no doubt split and roast and pickle these redcoat fellows.
We are to meet this day to determine in council what to do with them. I am for surrounding. Surround is the word with me. If they were 20 times the number, I say surround them all. But these grapes, ooh, Joe, my canteens are empty. Joe, go to the commissary and fill my canteens and be home by the time I return.
Canteens filled, then thy whole soul be in thy canteens. That is, if he has credit enough with the commissary to fill them. And yet this most ignoble man is the chosen vessel to execute the Lord's work? Ill-fated country, when will this delusion end? Here we find Lieutenant William Clark from Connecticut and Colonel Henry Remsen from Queens in Gowanus Heights, where they await the British assault.
Oh, heaven. He's wounded and out of his senses. Colonel Remsen, can you speak?
Oh, dear God! What merciful escape I get this time. Dear gentlemen, have you seen my regiment?
No, where did you leave it? Lord, help us. How near is the enemy?
Oh, God, come the blood out of me in any place?
Blood? No. Nor can I see anybody coming after you. Your hurt, I fancy, is fear, Colonel. Your wound must be sore in your breeches. Compose yourself and tell us what has happened.
Well, I will tell you then. I was just now on the head of my regiment, close up behind Sean Van Dienen's field. Sean Van Dienen's field. I keep my eye on Arian Mortis Lane. I see just by the ground something is creeped. I say, my regiment, take care of yourself, boys. They begin to run. My horse, he see the danger. He carried me off. God knows I get out of here. Believe the rest are killed or taken prisoner.
Killed? No, nor any of them hurt. Except 4 or 5 that you ran over. Why, there was not a British regular within a mile when you took fright. Oh, you ungodly cowards, out from the presence of the brave. What credulous stuff these New Yorkers are made of. Shut.
Here we find Elizabeth Phillips Gates, the wife of one of Washington's most trusted generals, and her chambermaid Betty, in a room at Brooklyn Heights. In 1775, Loyalist newspapers claimed that Congressman Benjamin Harrison procured many prostitutes for Washington.
After Count councilman, General Gates will wait of you. Till then he begs your patience, as the time is near that he is to meet the rest of the generals.
You counsel? A pretty collection of counsellors indeed. But since it must be so, you shall give me the narrative of Harrison and your general, my sweet chambermaid. It will beguile the time.
$50 and hard ones too, with the promise of 50 times as much was irresistible. But oh, the nasty beast! I almost puke at the recollection. Harrison is such a slobbering, odious, unsavory smelling creature that I wonder how any woman in the world could sleep a night by his side.
And yet, you see that $50 hard made you put up for a night with all the inconveniency of bad smells.
A night? Your ladyship wrongs me very much. Why, Harrison snored within an hour. And the first snore was a signal for my retreat. I am sure I should have been a corpse if I had been obliged to stay the night.
And there your affairs ended with Harrison, did they not, Betty?
Yes, my lady, for when Harrison found I could not abide him, he would propose to introduce General Washington to me. The general was a very pretty gentleman, and I consented to it on purpose to get rid of Harrison. The general is the sweetest, meekest, melancholy gentleman, and then he is such a warrior. Oh, ma'am, I shall always love the general.
Yes, and among his other qualifications, the most liberal.
Why, my lady, I will tell you honestly, His Excellency gave me a $30 bill. He assured me it would have been more, but that he was obliged to repay Harrison the 50 hard dollars that he had given me. Now, ma'am, is not Harrison a dirty fellow in every shape that you can view him?
Well, no great things, girl, to be sure, from your account of him. Neither is your meek, melancholy hero Washington, from my own observations.
Lord, ma'am, did Washington not order the king's flame to be pulled down and the head cut off? For God's sakes, ma'am, what would you have of a hero?
My dear Betty, none but a little-minded barbarian would have suffered the arts to be trampled underfoot, as he did in the case of the king's statue. Oh dear Horace Horatio, that you should sully your laurels in the abominable cause of Republican tyrants and smugglers in power. To be a renegade for such miscreants, it almost distracts me.
Here we find Generals Washington, Sterling, and John Sullivan in council atop Cobble Hill, a command center so named because it was elevated by cobblestones. American troops had built a line of fort from Wallabout Bay to Gowanus Creek in order to defend downtown Brooklyn.
Gentlemen, spies from Flatbush informed that the regulars are making a disposition to cross the hills near that place. Excuse me, those hills in that place, yes. And Lord Sterling, with his usual intrepidity and precision, has reconnoitred their numbers, which he finds to be about 7,000. General Sullivan has appropriated the hill with exquisite judgment, where the brigades under him and Lord Sterling are to act as occasion may require. 12,000 men are allotted for the service of sending them back to their ships, and I, with 8,000, will stay within these lines. Our present deliberations alter this plan of operation instead. My lord, the council expects your opinion.
Why, I rise to commit to the most respectable, most recent Council of General Officers that this or any other age has ever produced. I am for surrounding them. Yes. And when we have got them hemmed in, I will send them over to, I'm presenting them to our noble Commander-in-Chief, who knows what to do with them.
Yeah, sure.
Pompous, flimsy, drunken fool. His lordship's idea are exceedingly surrounding. I hope the practice may be as easy as a theory, in that their numbers may not exceed 7,000. But if the council holds the opinion of General Washington and myself, our deliberations are at an end, and we cannot be too soon at our different posts.
Gentlemen, farewell. I am off to my post.
Now, a little sober reasoning here, General Sullivan. My apprehensions from the king's troops, believe me, are trifling compared with the risk we run from the people of America at large. The tyranny that our accursed usurpation has made necessary, I fear, will soon make them see through this disguise. And their rage, no doubt, will be heightened by the slaughter that will probably ensue. And we, as members of Congress, will fall the first victims of it. Sullivan, my heart never consented to this ruin of my native country.
My dear General, the moments for reflection are elapsed and irrecoverable. Our safety is first in conquest. If that is denied to our endeavors, I am sure we can obtain better terms from our much injured sovereigns.
I mean, our soldiers are a standing miracle to me. They resign their thinking, and as to us, in a case where their all is at stake, I do not yet discover that we make them the engines of our power at the expense of all that is dear and sacred to them as men. Oh, dear, my Sullivan, is in you my hope. Every command of ground is ours with a perfect knowledge of all the woods. These advantages double the strength of our men. If we cannot defend these, I know of no place that we can.
All things that depend upon me will, I hope, meet with your approbation. I shall aim to infuse such sentiments into the troops that our next meeting may be ushered in with greetings of congratulation. Till then, my dear General, farewell.
Greetings of congratulation. Oh, could I congratulate myself on finding my lost peace of mind? On the restoration of my honor? Oh, cursed ambition, what have I sacrificed to thee? Oh, bless me. So late, and my engagement to a lady, not yet complied with.
Here we find General Sterling and his attendant king in position at Gowanus Heights. More or less where we are right now at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hello, General Sterling, hello?
Oh, for God's sake! What's the matter?
Your Lordship, there's been a great deal of shooting near the Red Lion Inn.
Wait, shooting? Where did it come from?
Bergen awakened me. He said there was a shooting in his field.
Shooting in his field? Near his house?
Very near. So I stole out, for I knew the road, dark as it was. Everything was still, as if nothing had happened, but I could hear the groans of dying men at a little distance. I have not seen nor heard anything else since.
Well, so what was their numbers?
Well, there could not have been 50 of them, or there would have been more noise.
Oh, damn it! It's nothing but a scouting party! Come, we must take a whistle from my canteens. It's a devilish raw morning, and I must have something to keep the cold out.
Here we find Generals Sterling and Sullivan and their attendants King and Noah on a hill above Gowanus Creek at around noon. All morning the British have slowly pushed Sterling north along the water and Sullivan east from his position at Flatbush Pass, and they have now just joined forces.
Well, my lord, will you make a disposition for your favorite scheme of surrounding?
Oh, for God's sake, dear General, don't mention it. I didn't expect to go this way.
Let 4 brigades immediately take post in the bottom and extend as far as the stone house upon the left. If they should force these brigades to the hill, we can easily maintain this post against the united forces of Britain without loss and make their retreat to our lines, when we please, unmolested.
Well, the regulars are nearly up to them. You'll see, they will push directly, General.
The regulars are nearly up to them, you'll see. They will push directly, General.
Yes,
Oh, I see they do push, but it is with their bayonets, and our men are scampering towards us.
well, dear General, well, what should we do now?
There is nothing to obstruct us in our rear, my lord. We will retreat in good time.
Oh, well. Oh, lost, undone, ruined, destroyed?
Amazement. What ails the man?
Well, in the rear. Look, in the rear there. The regulars. There's no retreat. There's no retreat. General Sullivan. General Sullivan! What do you think of it now?
I think that we heaven-born generals are apt to lead our troops to the devil.
Yes, but my dear General Sullivan, what do we do?
Just what you please. Every man is now his own general. So, gentlemen, farewell.
Oh Lord, I guess incline their hearts to mercy. I hope that we are not of enough consequence to be hanged.
Here we find Noah, soon to be joined by King, in a room at Brooklyn Heights after the American retreat.
Notwithstanding your dirty condition, Mr. Noah, I congratulate you on your safe arrival in your old quarters, neither holed by musket balls, nor swelled up with salt water and creek mud. Thanks to my activity, I am not crab's meat with the rest. Welcome, Joe. Dripping from the creek, I see, but I am glad to see you alive.
Confirm it that I really am alive, for I feel I have some doubts about it.
Don't you know me then?
As well as I know myself, Noah, but are we not both in the other world?
Why, man, look about you. And you will find this to be the very room that we have inhabited for some time past. Behold, Joe, this pocket bottle. One half of its contents I prescribe to you, your conviction, and restoration.
Well, now I return your congratulations, and I'm heartily glad to see you on this side of the grave. But Noah, what has become of our generals?
Oh, killed or taken prisoner, I expect the latter. But, my poor General Sullivan, I quite lament him.
Mine is under the same predicament, but I have not a pity for Sterling. Nor should I love you very much if I thought you serious in your lamentation. For God's sakes, Noah, how came a man of your understanding in the capacity of Sullivan's servant?
Without a doubt. I might have started with a regiment, and probably have been a general by this time, but I saw through their topsy-turvy schemes. Though I was obliged to flow with the tide, I knew the post of honor would be the most private station. But Sullivan will be a loss to his family.
So not will Sterling. He will be a loss to nobody but those that find him. Had Sullivan any property?
No, most excellent property, for he made a property of weakness and ignorance, and consequently had an extensive fund. But yours was a title general, and I suppose very full of property, as he has often declared he was full of principle.
His principle, Noah, has for years past been to withhold other people's property from them. It is a maxim with this Congress at Philadelphia that by the marvelous the vulgar are to be robbed of their reason. But heaven has rejected the sacrifice, so that the people may open their eyes and no longer be the dupes of their tyranny, deception, and bloodshed.
They are indeed such monopolizers of liberty. Oh, almighty disposer of human events, open the eyes of my deluded fellow subjects in this once happy country. Encourage them to a free exercise of that reason which is the portion of every individual, that each may judge for himself. Then peace and order will smile triumphant over the rugged face of war and horror. The same hand that sows shall reap the field, and these vineyards be our own.
The end.